Hi guys, Phil DeBella here from the Coffee Commune, and we have one of our great family members here, Brett Bolwell from Barista Equip, today to talk all things technology and unpack what is happening in this space. A veteran of the industry at 21 years plus, he knows his stuff. We're going to unpack some amazing things that are happening in the world of technology and coffee shops and roasteries. Brett, welcome. You've been now in this space for how long?
Been in this space now for 20 years, so a veteran at technology and seeing what cafes do and seeing what they don't do well and helping to improve it.
And the hero product at the moment that obviously you introduced to the market and has been going crazy for many years now is, talk us through.
Yeah, well, puck press we discovered 10 years ago. That's being our hero product. Introduced automated tamping to the industry and pretty much revolutionised the manual tamping process. So now within Australia and globally, we've got in most countries in excess of 50% market share, so the product now is pretty much a standard within the industry. So the goal with that was obviously to alleviate all the problems associated with baristas having to manually tamp, the injuries related to that, the inconsistency in the coffee, and it gave them more time to engage with the customers. So that was the ultimate goal with it.
And an amazing product, because one simple product, and it's not simple by any means, but one solution solves so many problems. It wasn't just about saving, well in that particular case it doesn't save wages, but it associates what goes with wages in terms of staff off because of sore wrists and RSI. But consistency was a big one. Speed was another one, obviously, so amazing. And on the flow of that, obviously, it's opened up a plethora of other opportunities. So talk us through some of the projects you're working on right now.
Yeah, so some of the other projects sort of that came on with as part of seeing puck press being one of the most successful cafe products in the last 10 years was we identified a number of problems that people were having. One was consistency of flow, consistency of shot quality. So we're now working with a company called Flow that basically connects. It's a little IoT device that connects to the machine, gives the barista some immediate feedback on how the shots are performing, whether they're running too fast or too slow. So the key with that is, if the shot's running too fast, you've got an under-extracted coffee. Shot's running too slow, it's over-extracted. So the ultimate goal is if you're producing good coffee, you sell more coffee. Yeah. If you're producing poor coffee, the customer potentially won't come back. And your issue with that is it's a return on investment. Cafe owners invest a lot of money and time into setting up cafes, in many cases hundreds of thousands of dollars. If that money is invested and the return's not there because the coffee quality's not there and the customer's not coming back, nobody wins out of that. So this is the first time a customer has ever had the ability, or a cafe owner's had the ability to see the transparency across the quality of their coffee from shot to shot throughout every minute and every hour of the day. So that's been a big one for us. And then on the other side of that was the grinder adjustment. So we said we've got this amazing product that monitors shot performance and gives the baristas instant feedback. But then we said, what do they need to do once that happens? So they need to be able to adjust that grinder. So they need to go and need finer or coarser to get my shot performance back where it should be to get that optimum flavour. So now with the auto-adjusting grinders, that's going to be that will be the number one product in the cafe industry over the next 5 years. Companies like Hemro, Malkonig and La Marzocco, who are the biggest players in the world, are now investing in this technology as well. Yeah. We're watching them copy what we're doing, which is really interesting. So that will be, we think, the next 3 to 5 years, the biggest technology breakthrough within cafes.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously through the flow, you've got the grinding of the coffee, and most people now are using fresh roasted coffee, and we say fresh roasted between 7 days and 28 days, hopefully. Anything after that, obviously, it starts to deteriorate. But of course, the downside of fresh roasted coffee is the volatility in changing your grind and getting that shot performance. So obviously you've got tools like that that are going to alleviate it. What's happening in the milk space? 95% of people in Australia are drinking milk-based coffees. So what's happening in the technology around milk?
So there's a few things happening in milk automation, obviously. Traditional steam technologies work really well for the last 100 plus years that we've textured milk through steam. The issue you have is, one is a training issue. You've got cafes spend a lot of time and money on investing in training, recruiting new people, and it's a slow process. So we've been working with a product called Milk IQ, built here in Brisbane, Australian-made product for the last 2 years. Our goal was to be able to automate that entire process. So move away from steam. Steam adds a dimension of water to the milk, so it changes the flavour profiles and the protein of the milk. So the new technology uses air and pressure, and the product we've designed called Milk IQ will do 5 milks. So it will heat and texture up to 5 milks. No steam, no water, faster than the traditional model. And what it does is it gives the barista time to engage with the customer. So while their milk, their almond, their oat, their soy, dairy, whatever it is being textured perfectly through Milk IQ, they can be pulling shots off the machine, they can be serving a customer, they can be doing other things, all the while the cafe owner knows that the quality of the milk coming into that jug is 100% perfect.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. And then, of course, there's some of the products. So let's segue into the barista. Those that say that they're not a fan of technology because it diminishes the skill of the barista, what would you say to them?
Look, I agree to a certain point, and I love the art of what baristas bring to the industry. I think that skill set is amazing. The problem with it is it takes, you don't go and do a barista course and all of a sudden you're an amazing barista. It takes 5 to 10 years minimum, in my opinion, to get to that level. Do cafe owners have that time to try and go and find those people and make sure they're the right fit? The goal really, from my perspective, is I can pull anyone off the street. I can pull a 10-year-old kid off the street and go, right, here's our system. Push that button, put that jug there, put your handle in that, and everything is done automatically. So the goal is we want everybody to be able to access amazing coffee, but what cafe owners don't understand is the cost in recruiting, cost in training, and that's a constant process. So you hire a barista, they last 3 to 5 months, maybe you might get 8 months out of them, you're on that cycle again. Let's go again and again and again. And ultimately it's a test, you know? So what we're trying to do is make coffee accessible for everybody, simplify the process, and ultimately we want to achieve 100% perfection. We're not going to settle on 80%, we're not going to settle on 70. We want the best product, and the roasters want the best for their coffee too. At the end of the day, they invest a lot of time and money into that, and it needs to be perfect.
Yeah, and a couple of good things happen there is that you're working from the outside in. So you're starting everything with the customer in mind, which is, of course, the most important. So when you say 100% perfect, that's what Brett's obviously referring to, is the customer gets 100% made coffee for the money they're paying. But I'll take one step further from being in this industry. They call me a granddad of this industry at 48 now, which is quite scary. But it's, or it could be a compliment saying, you've achieved some of the most amazing stuff in this industry. But I take it one step further and say, well, why can't we have both? I love the fact that the technology makes it more accessible for people to learn coffee. But I would take that one step further and saying that get them in earlier, they learn about coffee, they're able to get on the machine, and then train them about the coffee as they go. So you're starting somebody, instead of starting them off ground zero, with automation, you actually start them off, say, number 4 or 5 out of 10, but then it fast tracks that beginning stage where then they can spend the rest of the time learning. So yeah, the grinder will adjust itself automatically, but at the same time, you get to learn, that grind finer means pour slower, grind coarser flows faster. There's no reason why they can't be both. So that's my take on to people that say, technology, dumbifies the barista. No, it doesn't dumbify the barista unless they want it to dumbify them. But to your key point, it allows the barista, it allows a person to get into coffee making, right? Because we don't want to say barista and deregulate the market. Coffee making a lot sooner and quicker. And in a day and age, and this is where I'm going to with this also, is in a day and age where wages have never been so high, but yet productivity's been at the lowest, what you're actually doing is increasing the productivity.
Correct.
Correct. And that's a key focus for you, right?
Yeah, particularly the milk process. If you look at, coffee in Australia, we're 90% milk-based coffee at least, and the milk process is slow. So if you're looking at a barista making coffee and they're standing there holding a jug, when they could be doing a whole lot of other things, to me that's dead time. And if we can at least increase that by 30 to 40%, their productivity, all of a sudden they're faster, more efficient, cafe owners making more money, and ultimately it's a sustainability piece. I want to see cafes last.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't want to see them put their hard-earned savings into a cafe, into opening a cafe, and then all of a sudden 2 years later they're in the 60% that's shut in 2 years. they've got to understand their costs, they've got to understand how to scale, and ultimately their goal should be, I want to have 2, 3, 4, 5 shops, right? Not one. Because we all know that one shop, you can struggle to make great money out of one shop. When you get to 2 and 3, then the profitability starts. It's no different to a Zarraffa's or a McDonald's or any of those big chains. The scalability comes in as you get into multi-stores. So we'd like to see these guys be entrepreneurial and go, hey, we perfected this system with one store. Let's open a second because it's successful.
And I agree. The technology's got to be seen. It's all about perception, and technology's got to be seen there that it's actually a resource and a tool to help you accelerate your potential, which is what we talk about obviously at the Coffee Commune. Tell us, what's the barista attitude to the technology? You've been working with a lot of baristas, and a lot of people might not know this, that obviously everything that you develop is with the barista in mind, obviously, and the customer in mind, and you've been working for many years now with baristas. What's their general take on what you're doing and their feel about it?
Yeah, I think initially, we used to have some resistance in technology, but if you look at, let's say La Marzocco as an example, one of the leading brands or the leading brand globally now, particularly in Australia, as a coffee machine supplier. The barista's favourite tool is a La Marzocco. La Marzocco now launching their own system, which has the telemetry system built into it, the auto adjusting grinder. And what they've done is they've listened to their customers. They've gone to the baristas globally and they've gone to the roasters globally and said, what problem do we need to fix here? What's your pain point? And this has been the biggest one. So, baristas have told La Marzocco and they've listened what they want to achieve. So, in a way, this has been driven by the baristas.
Fantastic.
Technology's been driven by the biggest players in the world. And we're a part of that, and we'll continue to innovate with other technologies that we're working on, and it's exciting. It's exciting times.
Well, it is exciting times, and it's the evolution and the constant drive to keep perfecting that so the customer wins, right? You're getting a better coffee quicker and hopefully for the best price possible, and that's what we're all aiming for, right? The best product we can do with the cheapest, well, the best value, not the cheapest, and at the quickest time, because no one wants to wait 15 minutes for a cup of coffee. Yet with the different types of milks and the process slowing down and all the rest of it, that's what happens sometimes.
Correct.
So what you're doing is great. Tell me, have you done some case studies around savings and costings with somebody that's implemented, say, the puck press, the telemetry around the shots, and especially the milk? Has there been a study done of what sort of cost of savings of goods or cost of wages savings that you get by implementing this sort of investment?
Yeah, we've basically gone to our customers and said, smaller customers in that 5 to 10 store range, and said, what are the immediate benefits that you've seen? And they've basically come back to us, and we wrote an article recently in one of the biggest magazines in Australia and used that testimony and case study in there. And one of them, the guy had about 8 stores in Sydney, and his biggest challenge was recruiting and training staff. He'd bring in a new person, he'd get them on, and they'd last 3 months, and he'd have to go through that again. And he's got, as I said, he's got 8 stores, and with that, he worked out his annualised costs on recruiting and training constantly, and he said to me, he was saving around $8,500 per store per year, just in recruitment and training. But he said the upside was every time any one of my staff members, and some of them aren't baristas, made coffee, it was as good as the barista. So from his perspective, his sales increased on average around 30%. As far as improvement in performance, we know in a busy cafe where you potentially got a person just doing milk, and you put in either a perfect mousse, an Uber milk, Milk IQ, whatever it might be, all of a sudden you've got that person can be doing other things. So they can be talking to the customers, engaging the customers, doing other tasks within the store. So the productivity of that person becomes a lot more. And to me, I'm not about reducing staff costs, I'm about making them more productive. And ultimately everybody wins out of that because you're engaging the customer.
Totally, and that's well said. Technology is not the devil to try and get rid of wages, it's actually to increase productivity, and you can redeploy that person to do something else, which should be engaging the customer so that they want to come back time and time again. Tell me, what do you see the trends in the next, say, 12 months to 3 years in the cafe space?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if you look at automation, there's a number of products you can use now within the market. Are we going to go to a completely super automatic option? We're seeing some cafes now in smaller scale, because we're very much a barista focused machine type business in Australia, but we're now seeing some leading cafes in this country who've run La Marzocco Stratas, they've had Uber Milks, Perfect Mousse, Puck Press, Grind by Weight, they've had all the amazing tools, put in an Eversys super automatic next to it. So these guys would be doing, as an average, 600 to 1,000 coffees a day, so very high volume. And what they're now saying is, we now need to put super automatic technology in as part of that solution. We might still run the traditional machines next to it,
makes sense,
to make sure we give the look and feel of what we really are, which is a specialty coffee outlet. But we're now going to put in this fully automated solution,
pick up the slack,
knowing that it's going to do the job just as well, but we're trying to obviously cover both bases. So we see that in cafe, there'll be smart operators that say, you know what, I'm going to do both. I'm not
fusion model.
Correct.
Yeah, it makes sense, and you save on that wage. We've got clients that have put in the super automatics and done that, and they've said, the average saving is 1 barista. So instead of 3 baristas on the machine, it's 2 baristas. So of course it works well for very busy cafes, especially in a short time, which is another trend we're seeing. People not opening the 8 and 10 hours a day, they're opening 4 and 6 hours a day, but they're getting the volume packed in. So that's a great solution for them, of course. Okay, so your advice to somebody that's sitting there and going, but I just can't afford to have the full range of all the products, what would you be saying to them? Yes, it's an upfront investment, but if they were balking at that, what would you be saying to them?
Well, I think as a previous cafe owner myself, my biggest challenge was staff. So I think if you look at the investment, whether it's 10,000 to start with at the lower end of the scale, 20,000 in the mid scale, and maybe up to 30, 35,000 at the high end, you look at it and you say, well, what are those wages costing me? What is the cost of a lost customer costing me? If I lose 1 customer a month, what's my annualized return on that customer? And I don't think people quite get that. They go, if I upset a customer once, will they come back and try my coffee again? Yes, they may. Will they do it a third time? Probably not. So, if you don't get that right, and you lose 1 customer a week, what's that cost you over a year? Then if you look at the investment's cheap.
Yeah, it's the opportunity cost
too.
Well, it's the opportunity cost, right? A great analogy given to me a couple of months ago was a limo driver, and he bought long story short, he bought a Lexus instead of it was the top end Toyota, and I can't remember what it was, they was like, why'd you spend $20,000 more on the car? And he said, well, you see it as me spending $20,000 more on the car. I can now charge $20 more per ride because it's a Lexus, not a Toyota. And that's a similar way, right? Is that put the investment up front and look at your ROI and what the opportunity cost is if you don't invest it up front. So now you've said that well. Tell me, biggest challenges in the next 12 months do you see for this industry, and how can Barista Equip help a cafe owner and a roaster with what's coming in the next 12 months?
I think the biggest challenges, as we can all see right now, are costs. Right, costs are blowing out everywhere. How do we mitigate those costs? If I'm a coffee roaster and I'm running a team of half a dozen reps throughout the country, and I'm saying, how do I make those people way more efficient? How do I supply technology into my stores to start reducing my touch points? A couple of leading roasters I know in Sydney. We've got 4 reps in Sydney. Each one of those reps would go out to a client on a 2 to 4 week call cycle. Their goal in going into that cafe is just to make sure the quality's right. So, with products like Flow, we can put them in there. I can give the roaster a dashboard into the system to go, hey, I can see what all your sites are doing. The only time I'm going to send a rep in there is when the flow data is low. So when my shop performance is low, I'll send a rep in there, I'll do the training, and I'll address the issue as it comes up that day. They're not waiting, 2 weeks or 4 weeks to find out the customer's producing a poor quality coffee, because it's your brand on the front door of that cafe. If they start producing bad coffee, that reflects on the brand of the coffee and obviously then affects sales. So the goal is, how do we maintain quality, but obviously we've got to reduce our costs, and that's going to be the big one. But so technology like Flow, we think for roasters is going to be a way for them to save money. Things like burrs, looking at how do we reduce our cycle of burrs. Instead of putting a set of burrs in once every 3 months, we've now got new burr technology that will last 7 times longer. So the burr changes now will be
every 2 years.
Every 2 years. So it's a massive cost saving.
Saves thousands. Yeah.
Milk automation reduces waste, reduces the milk not being textured properly and then having to be poured down the sink, reduces overfilling. So there's a lot of wastage issues sitting in there. So when you look at the whole scheme of it, we can save cafes at minimum 30% of their current cost across all those areas.
Yeah, well worth the investment. Wages, remember, is the biggest part of this industry. It used to be 30 to 35%. Now it's more like 40 to 45% if you're lucky, because of all the penalties and all the rest of it. So it's not, should you, it's when will you, get on board with technology and use it to your advantage. Any closing remarks? Any closing tips or tricks for our listeners that you would get across from yourself as an expert in the industry?
Yeah, I think after 21 years in the industry and seeing where it's going, I think you just need to be open to doing things differently. I think right now, have a look at what's around. Speak to other cafe operators that are doing well. Why are they doing well? If you're struggling in certain parts of your business, whether it be food costs, whether it be labour costs, whether it be negotiating better rents or improving performance of your staff, even the well-being of your staff, I think there's a whole facet of things that technology can help with. And at the end of the day, we're there to help. So, we're a national business. We'd love to have a conversation. Our people are very conversational. We've all got combined over 100 years experience within the business. Fantastic. So,
and a great member of the Commune here. How do they get a hold of you? What's the website of Barista Equip?
Either jump on the website at baristaequip.com.au or give us a call. Just Google us at Barista Equip.
Yeah, Brett, fantastic. Tell me I'm going to finish on this. What should the price of a cup of coffee be right now? Let's quantify it, because a cup of coffee is not a cup of coffee anymore. A 6-ounce latte or normal milk benchmark price from your perspective, what should it be?
Well, in my opinion, it still should be below $5. We still should be around $4.50. I was recently at Sydney Airport, got a coffee on my way out, ordered a piccolo, and I got charged $5.75. And I said to the girl, that is the most amount of money that I've ever paid for a cup of coffee. And I said to her, why? And she said, well, we're attributing all the new costs in running our business. And I'm like, okay, well, you need some automation in there to reduce those costs, because people will not come back and get that second and third coffee. And this is where we're seeing the decline in sales across the industry now. That third coffee that the customer is going to get is pretty much gone for the day. Yeah. Cafes are struggling to even get that second cup. Get the automation in and you can reduce those costs and get it back to a feasible price point for the customer to get that second cup. Yeah. That's where your value add and that's where your profit margin is.
Great tip. Brett, thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Good to see you.
Yeah. So there we have it, Brett Bolwell from Barista Equip. All things technology. It's not a threat to the industry. It actually is a tool to make you better tomorrow than today. And there's many things and benefits that come out of adopting the concept of technology in your business, such as producing an amazing cup of coffee consistently for the right price for your customer, so that you can build a business that is better tomorrow than it is today.